Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Things That Piss Me Off, Pokemon Edition. Starring, the dumbest Pokemon ever created. Fucking Porygon. You know why this thing is stupid? Because it was artificially created. Yes, that's right. We programmed a Pokemon. Think about that for a second. This thing was made by scientists that are coders, video game creators, and they made a living, sentient creature that could come out of cyberspace. This thing is literally the lawnmower man of Pokemon. Imagine if this thing got into the internet. We'd all be screwed. This is how Skynet starts right here. I'm telling you. This thing is going to take over the world, and we're going to become its mindless, droning slaves that have to sit and program all day because it needs our vital essence matrix style. It's going to harvest us. I'm telling you this. So, this thing not only was created digitally and artificially, but it can also come in and out of cyberspace as it wills. So this thing can literally plug itself into a phone jack and access the internet and just travel that way. This thing can travel at light speeds across the internet. It could probably help you out in a game like League of Legends, where if someone's pissing you off, you send the Porygon inside and it'll go like fry the other person's computer. Okay, that actually does sound pretty cool now that I think about it. But back on track, back on being angry. So not only that, but if you actually look up going to Porygon's page, it says, and I quote, "In ancient history, people were confused about Porygon and its evolutions due to them arriving through space-time distortions and being the product of far more advanced technology than what was available at the time." Are you suggesting that this thing was made in the future and came back in time? Or are you insinuating that aliens made this thing? Either way, it's contradictory. It says that it was made from Sylph Company, and was created at the Pokemon Lab on Cinnabar Island using state-of-the-art technology of its time. So yeah, all of a sudden there's a huge hole in this thing. There's a time paradox here. This Pokemon went to ancient times in Hisui it was called. It went back in ancient times and people were like, what the hell is this thing? It came out of a wormhole. Okay, cool, awesome. But the fact that we made this thing at a company on Cinnabar Island in Kanto, this was part of the original 151. So this was one of the earliest discovered Pokemon, quote unquote, that was made by hand. We created life. We created a Pokemon, which, by the way, breeds. This thing breeds, okay? It breeds, right? Yeah, it has self-preservation. Yeah, it's got to be able to breed. Well, it doesn't have any gender. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and assume it can't breed. Okay, so how do we get more of these things? Huh? Insinuating that this thing can't breed, how does it make? How is it made? You know how it's made? It probably splits dividedly like a starfish and just multiplies. You know what that implies? This thing is a virus. This thing is a worm. This thing is spam malware that infects computers. It multiplies itself and then it moves on. This thing is literally infecting your life right now. The computer you're using to watch this right now probably has a Porygon in it. Oh yeah, you have a sentient Pokemon staring at you through your webcam. You know how there's people out there that are always like, oh, the government's watching us through our webcams. You know what? They're not wrong, because this thing is watching us. And for all we know, it works for the FBI. We don't know that. But this thing, the thing multiplies itself constantly and spreads itself all around. What does it actually do? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think, okay, this thing multiplies inside computers. What is its goals? It can't eat. It doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't need any of that. So how does it occupy its time? You know what it does? It probably goes through all your files. Oh yeah, this thing accesses your computer through the internet, and it's probably in there right now digging around. Hey, if it really wanted to be a dickweed, it could start deleting your files. That's probably how things get corrupted, because there's a Pokemon inside your computer making all your files break. Yeah, I bet you didn't think about that one, did you? Okay, so this thing can't breed, it can't eat, it can't sleep. It was made artificially by people, by a billion-dollar company. This thing was made by a public company, Sylph Co. Okay, and it was made in a laboratory on an island. This thing can willingly put itself into the internet. Okay, think about that. Does anyone else see the major implications of this thing? Like I said, this is how Skynet starts. This is how the Matrix starts. This thing right here. We have created the world-ending Pokemon that apparently can go back in time through wormholes, because this thing showed up in ancient history. I believe that's the old old time period where like Pokemon were used in like ancient wars and stuff. Porygon was there. Porygon, the Pokemon that was made in our time, went back to ancient time. This thing is a time traveler. Does this thing look any more dangerous now? If I wasn't convincing you before, how do you feel about it now? Pokemon like this are what's going to make us extinct. Porygon is going to be the overlord of our generation, and we're all doomed. And you know why? Because we made the damn thing, and we didn't include an off button. We're dead. You understand that? We are dead.